My name is Nathaniel Sperger. I work with the Women's Business Center of North Carolina. We do all kinds of stuff, but our main activity and the main way you can interact with us is through these webinars, through these meetings. But a better interaction is through our individual business counseling sessions. We talk to you about your business specifically. We can talk about your business plan and actually get into the specifics of your business in a one-on-one session. So I recommend getting one of those sessions if you haven't already. Interact with us in that way, and it's the best way to get information that's tailored to your business. This presentation today is about business plan, and you may come out of it with more questions than you had before, but that's a good thing because writing business plans is all about asking questions about your business and providing answers, hopefully to somebody else. You don't want to only provide an answer to a question that you have and that you understand because you're the business. You want to make sure that other people who see this business plan, who you share this with, like a bank, like a credit union, like an investor, like a possible employee, make sure that these people understand what you put in this business plan and it communicates what your business is about. And probably the most important thing to do with a business plan, we can talk about form, we can talk about structure, we can talk about what you should include in it. But as long as you answer a few questions and explain a few things about your business plan will work. And basically, the business plan's purpose is to explain to other people what your business does, what is it for, what problem is it solving, and how is it solving that problem? How does it do what it intends to do? Who are the people that it reaches out to? Who is its market? Who is it helping? Or who does it do business with? And then also, where is money going out of that business? What is not profit? What is money that's being paid to employees, that's used for operations? What are the expenses of this business? And how is this business going above its expenses and providing profit, right? When you're talking to an investor or a bank, that is absolutely critical, obviously. So let me skip over here. Here we go. Before I touch on these on this presentation, why do you need to write a business plan is something that you need to ask yourself. What is the purpose of the business plan that you're writing? It may be to get financing. It may be as a plan for you to work on during the growth of your business from beginning to the future. It may be a way that you're restructuring your business, and so you've planned it out. You're looking for some growth, and you want to make sure that everything is provided for in that plan, and you can work on that plan as you grow and adjust the plan as things happen, as the economy changes, as the market is different, as other people start to get interested in your business, as you get partners. You want to always update your business plan to keep it as a living document. The slides will be provided, as well as other resources related to business plan. So kind of back to what I was saying, these 4 points about what the business plan does. It tells the story of your business, and it's very important to have a story. You want to tell a story because a story is more accessible to more people. So what is the story of your business? Convince people that if they invest in your business, they're investing in something that's worth talking about. It's a story worth telling, Projecting into the future, we say 3 years here, it's up to you and up to your goals, right? Why are you writing this business plan? Again, is it for investment? Is it for financing? Is it for yourself? How far ahead do you want to think about? And how far ahead do you think you can actually project? You want to make sure projections are close to reality. Obviously, they're projections, so they're not going to be reality. But if you're working with good numbers, with clear information, you can project something that is attainable. And we'll talk about goals in later on, so I don't want to go too deep into that. But attainable projections make sense, and you want to make the story make sense. So think about it as a story. Over here. Financial plans, clearly outlined financial plans. That is an entire thing. You could think about, there's a whole other plan, is the financial plan. But we need to have a financial portion in our business plan to explain the number side of how our business works, why it does what it does, why it is a good option for an investor or even for an employee to come on. If you're hiring a high-level employee, you may hire them using your business plan. So let's jump into these structures of a business, and what do we need to think about if we're starting out with the idea. We have an idea for a business, then we need to make sure that we jump into the right structure during this time of planning. And if you haven't already investigated structure, it's very worth doing. There's really not that many structures of business. There's a lot of variation, but there's really only these 4 structures. 2 are, three are actual entities, and 1 is, the foundational American business, which is you. If you have a product, you have a service, and you sell it, you are a business. And to be a sole proprietor, which is that's what it is, all you really have to do is have a product or service and be selling that product or service. The portion of being legal and doing it legally, in other words, paying your taxes, which is the crux of the issue of legality, you need to do a few things, like register a name with your county. Here in North Carolina, if you register with one county, it goes across all counties. And that's called a DBA, or a doing business as. That's what goes with this sole proprietorship. It's basically, you tell the county, you tell the government that I, Nathaniel Sperger, do business as Sperger's websites, for example. And that's my business. That's it. That's all there is to it. After that, it's about paying self-employment taxes and your normal taxes if you have employees, whatever taxes you have to pay for them, or benefits. And this is a structure that has no protection to you as a person, right? If you want protection for your own assets, because you are the business in this case, then you have to go to something else, like a corporation or an LLC. And you definitely want to think about those 2 carefully. A lot of people recommend corporation because of tax reasons. But a limited liability company, which is an LLC, can be taxed very similarly to a corporation. So you have to get some counsel on which is best for the size of your business. And in this case, you really want to think about size. Maybe how much money are you making in a year? Or how many partners are involved? How many people are involved? Do you want to use money to reinvest in the business? That all comes into play when thinking about corporations. We pretty much focus on LLCs with the people that come to us. Generally, they're starting out, and so an LLC is what they need. And an LLC provides that protection of liability. So if somebody sues you, you have protection. They're suing the company, not you. To get deeper into that, I would recommend some research or talking to us specifically about your company and what you're trying to do. But a general partnership it can be a sole proprietorship or a limited liability company. And you have partners in this company. And how you relate to those partners is up to you, creating documents and, sorry, the word just disappeared. Making sure that what your relationship with these partners is on paper. That's very important. But legally, you're an LLC with partners, or you're a sole proprietor with partners, and those relationships you kind of specify. So we'll go through the traditional business plan, and then we'll talk about the business canvas, which is it's kind of new. It's not too new, but it's called the lean canvas model, and we like it because it's simple and it's easy to work with. It's good for starting out a company that you want to grow fast, but it piggybacks off to the traditional business plan, and they both do the same thing, which is tell this story. So here we go. And let me just throw this out there. 1 second. Just want to make sure that we don't. There we go. If you want to ask a question, I would recommend putting in the chat right now, because we do have a lot of people, and so it'll get noisy if we start to talk. But at the end, when we have some Q&A time, we can do it by microphone as well. Okay, so I was going to say, related to the traditional business plan or the lean canvas model, what you're writing the business plan for is more important than what structure you choose, or the structure you choose depends on what you're going to do with that business plan. So if it's an investment package, if you're talking to a big bank, or they're going to do a lot of reviewing and they're really going to look at your business, a traditional business plan involves more information, more writing, and there's a lot more to that business plan. So you've described it a lot more in depth. The business canvas is an easy way to, in one sheet of paper or in a big sheet of paper, this is like a whiteboard activity really, you put the main the main items of the business on this one sheet, organized in such a way that you can talk about it and tell this story. For example, if you're presenting it to somebody, it's a great way to use. But a business plan, again, is just doing those things I told you about. It's telling you about what does your business do, who does it do it for, and why does it exist, or why does it need to exist. And that story can be told whatever way you feel like telling it. Who are you talking to, and how do you think that story is going to reach them in the most efficient way? That's what you need to do. Write a business plan that works for what you're going to use it. It can be a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. It could be a video. We're in a day and age where you can do a lot of creative stuff, and sometimes that creation goes with your business and what you're trying to do with your business. So use those tools to tell that story. Now we got a question. Let me just make sure. Is there a charge? There is no charge for anything we do here at the Business Center, and I apologize that everything we do actually is for free, and you can have as many as you want. The only caveat there is that we have to schedule them, but yeah, you can have as many as you want. We can talk to you, create a relationship, and having a relationship with organizations like ours, or organizations like SCORE, or Wake Tech's small business unit. There's a lot of organizations that are out there to help small businesses. And when you create a relationship with that organization, they can help you because they know you and they say, hey, this thing came down the line. This business could profit from this. Let me send them some information. So creating those relationships with us, with other people, with chambers of commerce, it's worth doing. It's worth spending that time. Again, everything we do is free. So schedule some time with us. So back to the business plan, the traditional business plan, the mission statement. I'm not going to get too deep into these because time goes really fast. And again, let's talk about your business plan individually. But the mission statement is your story told really, really short, concise, and spend some time on it. If you go online and start researching some mission statements and some vision statements from big companies that are successful, small companies that are really, really interesting, you'll find their mission statements tell a lot about what they do in a very short way. Maybe one sentence. Some of the great mission statements are very short. And if you see the company and you see the mission statement, you say, of course, you understand it. That's what you want to do with yours. You want to make sure that it tells the story in a sentence or a very short paragraph. And in a mission statement, it's telling you what are you looking towards in the future and how are you going to achieve that. Let's keep moving. Anybody can stop me at any time and ask questions. It's always nice to interact, and that way we can also, you can tailor towards what people are interested in as we talk about through these slides. Describing your product or service. Again, that section of telling that story. What are you selling? Is it a service? Is it a product? And how are you describing it? Think about this as this is part of your marketing strategy. This selling of your product, describing in your business plan so that people understand what it is, what it does, and why do people need it. I have something that covers some of my presentation that's terrible. I guess because I have translation in this one, so I apologize. So I'm not going to read all these points, but like I said, I'll share this with you. You can take these points, study them. Studying your industry, I would say this is before you even are in business. This is how you decide whether it makes sense to go into business. But again, it can be something that you do along the line in the future. Markets change, and today they change very rapidly. The world pre-COVID, and I don't want to talk about COVID too much, but pre-COVID and post-COVID, let's call it post-COVID right now, is a very different world. And there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of new stuff happening that you either are changing your business to adapt to that, or you're creating a business that is taking advantage of these new opportunities. And so studying this, your competition, the industry you're getting involved in, what is your experience in that industry? There is a huge amount of time that you can spend on this. What you want to do, though, is not spend too much time. You want to focus that energy, telling the story and making sure that story is being answered, or those characters in that story, which are your competitors, your market, who you're selling to, that they make sense with the rest of your story. Your growth plan, and again, we talked about going into the future. It's very hard to, especially when you just started. If you're complete brand new business and you're trying to, you're shooting out into the future, you don't know what's going to happen, but you should have a lot of information that you've collected that can guide you towards what could happen, and what are your goals? What do you want to happen? So create that plan. In the business plan, you have these, each slide kind of covers a little section, and these are sections. If you see a template, you'll see the strategic growth plan, and so you fill this information in, or in this story model that we're using. That story is going to tell, how are you planning on growing? How are you planning on acquiring more customers? Do you have customers already? And how are you planning on reaching other customers that you haven't reached in the past? Maybe because of the way you were interacting with them online or in your publicity. What are the new strategies you're going to take to reach those new customers? So that's what we're talking about. Again, telling this story about your business into the future. And this part is hard, but you always want to have some way of including that conversation of your business going into the future. And some of these numbers, I mean, they may be made up. They're just based on hunches or based on research. Should be based on research. But in new businesses, sometimes you're basing it on the excitement of people you've talked to about your business. But regardless of that, how are you going to explain to somebody that's investing money in your business, what is your expectation for this business 5 years down the line? The collaboration chart. Now, you may find yourself as the one person that does all these things. That's the fun part of being a small business. Sometimes you get to wear a lot of hats. You are the owner or the member if you have an LLC, and you're doing everything. And at this point, at the beginning, you may be able to do everything, but as you grow and as you think about, as you take on new responsibilities, as you take on new customers, outsourcing a lot of this work or start hiring people, this is what the business plan is about. How are you going to do that? At what point do you start doing that? If you're starting at the beginning of your business, what is the point of your growth at which you start to hire an employee? Which is the first employee? Which is the most important part to fill and that you can delegate to? And how are you going to delegate to in your business's growth? If you're already established and you're writing a business plan for another reason, explain these different aspects of your business. Who is operations? Talking about the people that are involved in your business as employees or as partners is also part of a business plan. It's talking about the characters in your story. Who are they? Why are they there? and what do they bring to the table? Again, if you're all by yourself, how are you managing these aspects of your business? Marketing on its own can be, there are companies that's what they do for other people. That's all they do. It's a huge thing. Just managing social media these days can be a full-time job. And most businesses need to have a footprint in the social media world. Just to, even if it's just to answer questions, just to interact with customers, and just to participate in the community. That networking aspect of the business. Social media is a great tool for that. This other chart, this is obviously a more complex business. Could be an LLC, could be a corporation. It could technically even be a sole proprietorship. But all these different hats that can be worn by one person or need to be worn by other people. You want to think about those things from the beginning. If you're starting the business, how are you going to do this? How are you going to hire people? Who do you think you need to hire? What's the priority in hiring? And how are you going to structure that employee base, or the characters in your story? Are you going to organize them like a traditional corporation, a traditional large business? Are you going to have your own way of doing it? This is all up to you. And it's that selling the business. What is going to sell your business better? Is it having a traditional organization structure, or is it going to be something different and new or interesting in whatever way applies to your business? You can have everything that's in this presentation. I will send to you, and more. So there's lots of good stuff that I can send you after this. I'm just going to read this question. It says, is there a webinar that prereqs the business plan? For example, I have an idea for a business. What steps do I take to turn it into business? Or did I get into said the business plan? So yeah, we do a webinar specifically on starting a business, the steps that you should take, some things you need to think about before starting a business, and what is the path to start a business. But for that as well, you can just schedule a one-on-one and we can talk about those steps. They're simple steps. Some of it is it depends on your business. What are you trying to achieve? But it's not complicated. We can address it in a one-on-one. In 30 minutes, you can basically know what are the next steps depending on what stage you're in. You can start as a sole proprietor and then move into an LLC. Yes, you can. You can do that. You can do an LLC and then move into a corporation. There's so many things that you can do. It's just a question of what do you want to do. One thing to think about, though, with starting as a sole proprietor and then opening an LLC is financing, because you want to make sure that your business has a track record, and you don't want to have a track record as me personally doing business as something else, and then all of a sudden I have an LLC. The LLC is now a baby, and it doesn't have a credit history, because it's going to have new things. It's going to have its own tax ID, and these changes create ripples in the business that you're going to want to have the longest credit history you can. That being said, starting as a sole proprietor is inexpensive and easy, and it's a good way to test your business before you jump into something bigger. As a sole proprietor, you may create those connections that make the ability to be a LLC or a corporation, depending on what you're doing, that it may realize that for you. And so now you start in that journey. And, worrying about money in the beginning is, I'm sure everybody does it. That's what part of being a business owner is, worrying about money. But it's more important to start and get stuff rolling than to search for what should I do, how should I do it, and not do anything. So doing that sole proprietorship right now and slowly working it as a side business, as a side gig, a side hustle, and then moving into the LLC is one way of looking at it. And it's doable. It's not a big deal. Now let's move ahead over here. So I'm sure everybody's heard of the executive summary at some point. The executive summary is probably the first thing that you'll see in a business plan, but it is a summary of the business plan. And it is meant to be used as a quick reference or quick read of the business plan before you jump into more depth and read deeper and see charts and see finances and all that. With the executive summary, you see a summary of the business plan. We're talking about the traditional business plan, of course. So that will be at the beginning of your business plan, but you'll probably write it at the end once you've developed your business plan. And now you're going to summarize it in this executive summary. And as it says in the points, it gives a detailed description of the business, not very long. We're talking about 2 pages maybe, sometimes 3. It depends on how big the business is. And, going through the points of what the business does. Why does it need to exist? Who are its customers? What is its market strategy? What is its marketing strategy? What is its financial strategy? What investment is it getting? All these things summarized in 2-3 pages, depends on your business. Again, it could be 1 page. But again, who are you talking to? How much information do they need to make a decision or to participate in your business? So we were going to talk about goals. Here's a question. Let me see. So is acquiring a location or a building headquarters included in the business plan, or is it later down the process after securing an investor? That is, who knows? You don't. That's not like a business plan item, but it could be. Are you doing business? You're doing business out of a certain type of office. You're doing business in a brick and mortar. You're doing business online. These are questions that will be asked, and you should describe in your business plan. If there is a strategy for buying a building because your business requires it, that should be in the business plan. How is that going to be? How is that going to be done? How is it going to be financed? What are the steps that you're taking along the way to get to that point? The slides are available, and we will be sharing them at the end. So with the goals and this question about the headquarters, is the goal of the business to have a large building to house employees, or to have a warehouse where certain things can be done there, to have a place where a meeting place, an office where people can meet and then go out to do their work? Those are all parts that we're planning during the business plan. And those are goals possibly for the business. If you already have it, then that's an asset that you're including in your business plan as something that the business already has started with. You are an asset, your employees are assets, or the people that are partnering with you. If you have real estate, that is an asset. Vehicles, all those type of things definitely need to participate in this business plan as goals or as parts of the business that play a role in developing the value of this business and what it is capable of doing. Because you want to convince people that you're going to do this thing you say you're going to do, but you also need to make sure that it is obvious that you can, because of experience, because of resources, because of real estate, equipment. All these things should be in your business plan. But again, they may not be things you have. They may be goals you have in the future. If those are goals, and if you put them in a business plan as goals, I am going to do that. We are going to do this. We are planning on this. Make sure they follow this. This is a great rubric to work with, the SMART goals rubric. It's pretty popular. It's all over the place, but it just kind of centers or grounds your goal in these items. The specificity. I just said that. I'm not sure if it's a word, but it works. A specific goal. What are you getting at? What is it, and how small can you describe that? Be specific. Is it a measurable goal? Can you actually measure it, and can you explain it, or using using numbers into the future? Is it measurable? Are you achieving it? Are you reaching it? How can you measure whether you're reaching it or not? If you can't, it may not be a good goal. Is it attainable? Is it something that you actually can do with the resources you have now? In a business plan you're writing now, you shouldn't be putting things as goals or as future items that don't correspond to the resources you have. Again, you can project into the future, but those projections need to have a step of how are you reaching these newer, higher areas where now you have the resources to reach these goals. So think about those goals. If they're too big, you might want to tailor them down to the next goal, which will go towards reaching the big goal. So reach the first goal that you can reach and specify that goal. And is it relevant to your business? Is it relevant to what you're trying to do? And put a time on it. Setting deadlines, putting times for starting a business, having some deadlines is going to help you a lot. By this time, I'm going to have it registered. I'm going to have all my documentation done. I'm going to have licenses at this point. I'm going to have the 1 employee, the 2 employees, or whoever that I need to have by this time. And regardless of whether you reach those deadlines, having the deadline will help push you towards those deadlines. So create deadlines. And for goals, you have to have a deadline. Okay, people are asking for the slides. Make sure you put your email in there if you want them. If your email is not the same as what you registered the class with on Eventbrite. Otherwise, I have your email on Eventbrite. And the recording will be available. I like to send a lot of stuff after these that I think is relevant to business plan and to just starting a business. And again, you can communicate with us through that email that I send, reply, ask some other questions, or schedule a one-on-one with us. There's information at the top of the chat on our contact information. Just a tidbit there, our Facebook page is brand new, so there's not much there, but there will be. And if you follow us, like it, participate in it, it's easier to grow it. And we want to put a lot of stuff as a marketing tool, but also as a place to provide value to people we work with. So let's talk a little bit about the business canvas, or the lean canvas. I recommend looking for some information on lean canvas just because it does a good job of describing just the general idea of what a business plan does. And I like to think about a business plan the same way you think about a life plan or a plan for some kind of activity you're doing. I mean, like a road trip. If you plan the road trip and plan the steps in the road trip, where you're stopping, the hotels you're going to stop at, how much do those cost? Is that all in the budget? The gas that you're using, the places you want to stop along the way. When you have all those things planned out previously, even though it's a lot of work, and as soon as you start thinking about it, you're like, man, this is a lot of stuff, and maybe I want to be more spontaneous. But it will help you, and it will create a plan that you can follow and be spontaneous along the way while this plan is being enacted. And when you can't be spontaneous, or you don't know what to do at this juncture, you have the business plan, you go back to it, and there you go. Now you're doing something because there's a plan. I'm reading these questions. I hope nobody minds. Just to be able to, so people know what I'm answering. So before we meet with you, we should perhaps have an outline of a business plan to do. Do you have a template? Yes, I will send a template with this email as well. And there's a myriad of templates. Again, it's something that you kind of choose depending on what you want to do with your business. But yes, I have some templates that give you an idea of just fill in the information, and you can come with a business plan. That's an excellent way to engage with us, and it helps us understand your business better. Okay. All right. So the lean canvas, this slide right here, I hope everyone can see this. That would be bad if nobody was seeing these slides. What is there is that's a lean canvas. That's all it is. And you're going to fill in this information. Obviously, this on one sheet of paper is going to be difficult to fill in. If you do this on a whiteboard as an exercise, and then write out a traditional business plan, that's a good way to do it. This is like a as soon as I try to change what it is, it's a canvas. That's what it is. And we're going to fill it in. We're going to paint it in. We're going to write our story in points. throughout this canvas. So next slides kind of describe each of these different items, but some Google searching, looking at some information on the unique canvas, the lean canvas. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a big tech person that got in. He said traditional business plans take too long, and if my business is a business that needs to happen fast, I need to have a business plan, but I don't have time to write a long story. I want to put some points in that describe what my business does quick, and I can start this process of getting investment for my business or getting buy-in from people that I want to participate in my business. So he created this lean canvas, and it's worth looking at some of his talks. He's got some talks. There's a Google talk that he does about the lean canvas, and there's resources abound. But these items in here, when you know a little bit about all these items and you filled it all in, you basically have a plan and you have a way to navigate with that plan. So let's move through a few of these. So again, the problem, what is the problem? The problem is what you are solving as a business. That is why businesses exist. They exist to solve a problem for which people want to pay. And these problems can be super simple. It's amazing what people will pay for. Sometimes they don't have time to do certain things. You can be that person that fills in that little space that they are willing to pay for, so that they don't have to do it and they can focus on what they're doing. And that web of activities creates wonderful things, and it creates interesting businesses, and it creates interesting relationships. But solving a problem is what a business is about. Lean canvas. So lean as in lean and mean and very concise. So all the fat has been taken off of the traditional business plan. The fat is what makes stuff juicy and stuff tastes good. And I don't know if this is a good metaphor to use, and I apologize, but I like the metaphor because that's what a traditional business plan does. It describes with more words and with more information this concept, like the problem. With the lean canvas, we're talking about describing in a few points what is the problem that you are dealing with, or that your business is dealing with, and how are you solving it. These are all describing these little boxes in the lean canvas. Does it matter that I am in Seattle? The only thing that matters about that is that it's really nice weather out here, so I don't know if you have great weather, but we can help you do something in North Carolina. There is a women's business center in Washington or in Seattle itself that would be the place to go for one-on-one or for individualized help, because we're supposed to help people that are in our area. We have 52 counties of eastern North Carolina that we deal with as far as starting a business. If you want to start a business in North Carolina, though, we can help you with that. It doesn't matter where you are. And in one of these, that's one of the beauties of webinars, and one of the great things that I think these times have brought to us is engaging with people over very long distances about things that we care about at the same time. So let's see. It says, what is available for men? So my boss, the executive director of the Women's Business Center, she likes to say, and I think she's 100% right, and I mean, I'm here representing the Women's Business Center, but we focus on women, and we were founded to help women start businesses and grow businesses. Of course, times have changed, and we help whoever comes through the door. Most of our programs that are tailored are specific programs that we go out and look for funding and do ourselves. Those are mostly focused on women. But all the work we do as far as business start, business plan, helping one-on-one, these are all available to whoever asks for them. The only caveat there is that we have time for it, and we just have to schedule you in. But it's our help is available to whoever needs it. So I'm asking about centers in other states. I'll check this chat again, or when I send you an email with this information, please reply, tell me where you are, and then I can reach out to you and refer you to the center that is closest that I can find, that we know about. There is a women's business center, I'm pretty sure. If there isn't, there is going to be a, they call them SBDCs, and small business development, community development centers that are attached to a lot of colleges, sometimes the community colleges, sometimes the universities. But you can find those there as well, and there's other resources. But if you send me an email or reply to my email, I'll guide you towards those. So going back to the lean canvas, this UVP, the unique value proposition, that is a big one, and it is important because it is that thing that defines your business or differentiates your businesses from other people doing the same thing. Because there's a lot of people doing very similar things. And even when you think you have the original idea, you may not. And so you want to investigate that. Are you the only business doing this? And if you're not, what makes you different? What makes you special? And how do you differentiate yourself from other businesses? Okay. The channels. Channels are, how do you reach people? How do you reach customers? How do you reach a market segment? Are you using social media as a channel? Are you using online internet as a channel? Are you using a physical channel? Are you using door to door? Are you, what is the method that you take to reach your customers? Let's move through these. Metrics. What are the key metrics? What should you be measuring? And are you measuring those things? Define those metrics. Some of them are just for you. Some of them are metrics that you want somebody else to understand. Knowing what those metrics are is part of this investigation process. If it's a bank, what are they looking for? If it's a credit union, if it's a community lending organization, what are they looking for? If it is an employee, what are they going to want to see? Or if it's a partner. So yeah, keep those metrics and know what you want to measure, and measure it. It's worth measuring. It's worth knowing what's happening with your business. It's worth knowing how much is coming in, how much is going out, what's left over, what can be reinvested, what can't, what do you need, what are you asking for? Be very specific. Why are you measuring this? Well, I'm measuring it because I need to get to here, and this measurement is going to help me. And this is why I'm measuring it. This is why. And now somebody understands, they can participate. Unfair advantage. Unfair advantage. What is your advantage over other businesses? Is it your experience? Is it your headquarters office, where it's located? If it's food, is it your chef? Is it you? Is it how you cook? Is it your personality? These different things of your product. What is special about your product? Define those things. Cost structures, revenue streams. I'm going to skip ahead with these and make sure I don't leave anything that's important to talk about. Finances are, it's foundational to your business. And in your business plan, you want to touch on how you manage your finances. What data do you collect? Who is getting paid? How much are they getting paid? How much is left over? In this presentation, there's a bunch of examples of cash flow statements and financial statements that you want to look at, and you want to include stuff like that in a business plan. If you're a brand new business, and it's hard to find funding when you're brand new, but including even projected statements is going to help you. If you already have some of that, you want to include stuff. Sometimes they actually will ask you for 3 months in the past, but including that kind of information in your actual business plan is helpful, and updating it if it's been a while. You send me your presentation slides. Yes, we will send the presentation out with recording and other resources as well. Let me these are examples of finances. Let me just open it up to questions if you have any questions regarding what we've talked about. If you don't, we'll continue, but I'm going to share this presentation, and from here on, it's basically going to show you some examples of these different financial documents that you should be collecting, creating, or making sure you have. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and unmute, let them out, or put them in the chat. And I want to reiterate ways to use, for example, the Women's Business Center. We are open to whoever, like I said before, but we have a lot of stuff that is tailored to specific groups, mainly women. But all these things are projects that we take on through private investing, or not private investing, but private donations for a specific segment or a specific project. The main bread and butter stuff we do that is basically through the SBA is this kind of activities, trainings, talking about interesting subjects for businesses, as well as doing one-on-one counseling, which is the best way to get information straight to you. And a one-on-one counseling can be as simple as a 30-minute session, talk to you, get to know what you're doing, and then find out what resources we can give to you to help you achieve the goals that you have. You don't have to come with a business plan. You don't have to come with everything fleshed out, but come ready to explain what you need so that we can provide you some help with that. If you are a startup without a location yet, how will you find the numbers we need for financing? So that's the tricky part about being a startup, is you're doing everything from zero, basically. And you're depending on your experience, where you're coming from, where your partners are coming from, and what is your idea, and why does the world need it. As far as financing a startup, that is probably the trickiest part about being a startup or about starting a business. Most businesses actually get funded with about $5,000 or less, and that's how they start. And generally that money is coming from their own pockets, from their friends and their family, or from, a very special situation that arrived and they got $5,000 and they start their business. Most businesses start very small because of that and work on growing. And that growth curve is slow at the beginning, but if you've planned, if you've forecasted, if you've networked, that's critical. It will grow faster and faster. But being aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, who you're doing it with, it's foundational to growing that business. Going back to if you need a location, so there are many ways to do this, but mainly they're all around who you are as a person and who you know, or opportunities that are available at that time and how you can tailor what you're doing to those opportunities. And I don't want to let out the word grant, because grants are very, very, it's hard to get grants. It's hard to do things with grants because they're generally very specific and they're generally for specific things. And if your business fits that goal of the grant, then apply for it and you may get it. And grants are usually pretty small, so it's not, you're not thinking about big cash, you're not thinking about buying buildings with these. But primarily for growing a business into something large, you are either looking for outside investment, these angel investors, these venture capitalist type people or organizations. And to get that, you're talking about an excellent business plan, an excellent idea, and a well-presented package that shows somebody with money that risking that money on you and your business is actually a good idea. And it's not just a whim. It's something that is doable and that return can be expected from that investment. And that's what you're doing with a business plan. You're creating a story that can convince somebody that what you're doing is going to work. And lots of businesses don't work. It's part of any entrepreneur you talk to will tell you that most of their businesses didn't work until the one that did. So trying and trying again is the way forward. Your idea may be amazing, But it may be amazing 10 years from now. Right now, it's not going to work because the world just isn't ready. And that's happened before in the past when you read stories about these things. But the right moment is another thing. If your idea is in the right moment, getting that company structured, making a simple business plan that tells that story, start pitching it to people. If you need to protect something in there, like have a patent or a trademark or a copyright for a piece of information, it's worth doing before you start to get people with a lot of money involved, because things that are protected are easily taken and done elsewhere. So think about that when you're thinking about showing your idea to somebody. Does it need to be protected? We actually have an event on trademarks coming the 17th of November. It's worth checking out. And we have a bunch of other stuff that we've kind of created for the holiday season too. There was the Eventbrite link is in there. If you go there, you'll see the classes that are available now. Should be some interesting stuff related to the holidays, to branding, to e-commerce, to trademarks and copyright. And we're going to do some about taxes and preparing for taxes as well. And taxes is one of those things that you want to start thinking about right in the beginning. With your business plan and those financial projections, taxes are a big part of that. How do you pay them? What taxes do you need to pay? Should you do certain things or not, depending on what taxes are involved in those items? So again, part about thinking of all these different things that can come to bear in the future. If you can organize them now, then when they hit you, you have a path forward already, and it's easier to move when you already have something set up. So I don't see any questions right now. I am going to let me flow through these slides since we have another 5 minutes. And if there are any questions relating to these slides, we'll talk about that. The cash flow cycle, this is a great little graphic, and it's so simple. That's really all that you're talking about. You're talking about what is coming in through purchases or through merchandise services. What are you selling? What is I'm confusing myself now. What is going out? And then how much are you collecting from the customer? What are you paying to your suppliers? And there's a circle that is created through there of the money coming in, of the money going out, and different aspects of your business that you may not have thought about, like marketing, for example, or like certain employees that you have to have. And when you have employees, you have insurance that's part of that. Don't be scared to start a business because of all these expenses. Sometimes when we start to look at all the possibilities, we get overwhelmed. And the best way to get over being overwhelmed is to have a plan and to set some goals and just take stuff one step at a time. Most businesses don't need to be structured and working tomorrow. Usually you have some time, and you should put some time into that plan. But don't forget to start something, because if you stay in the planning stage forever, the starting stage never gets going. A sample of your balance sheet, having that in the business plan, knowing what this means. We have an entire class on funding your business and on finances. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can think about. And if you don't know what this means, do you have somebody that does? Or are you planning on learning? Or are you going to hire a CPA? Some of these types of items, taxes, accounting, certain professional services, are well worth outsourcing, especially in the beginning. Here we have a vertical analysis of what is happening in your business and what you end up with at the end, whether they're liabilities mostly, whether it's income, whether it's reinvestment capital. It's a good way to see that. Here we go. Sample income statement for the year. All these type of documents are also stuff that you're going to be presenting to a bank, or when you are receiving a grant. There's a Retool NC grant right now, which is a grant for businesses that have been in business before COVID,
and it kind of addresses the losses that they had during COVID. But you have to present certain items, and you have to be what we call hub certified. It's the historically underutilized businesses or minority businesses, and all these documents will be part of your application. So thinking about grants in the future, having a business that's already working and has documentation of it working will help you find money. So start now and start creating that credit, which the credit is your activity in the market. Your monthly income statement, what else do we have here? Your cash flow statement. These look like just Excel sheets of just numbers and lots of words, but most of this is going to tell somebody, is your business working or is it not working? And will it work in the future? And you don't have to understand all those things, but you do have to understand who understands them, and are they on your side? Or do you have the right people in place to understand those? So network and connect with people, connect with organizations, participate in your community, your chambers of commerce, groups like the Women's Business Center. We're here to help. We're here to engage with you in whatever way we can. Sometimes that is with a few resources that help you understand something better. Sometimes it's just with a simple explanation. Whatever it is, engaging with organizations, with people, with networking community, going to events. If you have a business, participate in events. It's a great way to make yourself known. And there's always something going on. And lately, we've seen a lot more stuff happening outside, which is a great thing. Going to events. We're planning on going to more events now and start to do things live. If you're interested in live activities, let us know. And we're very happy to have you. Can you be a client with the SBA and the WBCNC at the same time? Technically, by being a client of the SBA, you can be a client of the WBCNC, or you can be our client, and at the same time, you kind of are the SBA's client, because we are funded by the SBA for a lot of what we do. So you can be have one-on-one counseling with all these organizations. There's like 10 organizations in North Carolina that have some way or another, they're going to talk one-on-one, and they have those options, and most are free. They just tailor themselves to different types of businesses or aspects of business. And there is no reason why you can't, mix and match and get resources wherever you want. The SBA is, they fund us, so you can use them and use us at the same time. And we explain a lot of stuff the SBA does to people with webinars and activities. But we are at the end. Again, I will send a bunch of stuff to you. Be ready for that, and let me know. Reply with a question or a clarification you need. Connect with us and get that business on the road. I mean, that those first little things you do are going to go a long way, and eventually you may find yourself doing exactly what you want to do. But in the beginning, it might be a little bit hard. That's the way of business starting. It's a trial and error sometimes. But I'll send you all guys all these resources. I've talked about the presentation and the video and other stuff. I appreciate you all being here. Again, my name is Nathaniel Sperger, the Women's Business Center of North Carolina. If you're not here in North Carolina, let me know. I'll send you a referral to another Women's Business Center, and reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. So take care. Have a great day.